Ladies and gentlemen, this is From Pillar to Post, and I am your host, Pete Wall, and you are joining me in the laundry room. This is coming off of Fastlane last night. I did my review last night, and it was my personal review. Not everyone's going to agree. It wasn't a great pay-per-view, and I stated that last night. It was not a great pay-per-view. It was a good pay-per-view. Was it pay-per-view quality? No. Was it predictable? Yes. Was it exciting? In some cases, yes. Your match of the night? The Cruiserweight Championship match. That was the match of the night. Neville and Gallagher killed it. But this morning I decided I was going to watch some of my favorite podcasters, and there's a lot of negativity, and yes, there was a lot of negative issues with this pay-per-view. But I'm going to get into some points here, and I want to also talk about what WWE needs to do to better their product, in my view. Did we see botches? Yes, we've seen a major botch in the women's title match with Bayley wanting to do some kind of springboard fist drop or elbow drop on Charlotte while she was in the Tree of Woe position. It looked like Charlotte kept on fucking up. Instead of just laying there and taking it, she wanted to keep on pulling herself up on the ropes, which fucked up that little bit. But that can happen in almost any match. But you mainly see these kind of botches in the women's division. So I can see why everyone's going to harp on that. But was it a good match? Yes, it was a good match. It wasn't a great match. It was a match we've seen before. These women are facing each other too often, and it's not exciting. Now, the bone I have to pick with some of these other podcasters, and I'm not going to name names. There's no reason to. I'm not looking to start a war. I'm not looking to start a fight. Excuse me. Yes, I'm smoking. Bad thing, but fuck it. Now, what I heard this morning was a lot of bitching that the streak was broken when it shouldn't have been broken. My thing is, if you didn't care about Charlotte's pay-per-view streak to begin with, why are you bitching about it being broken? It was nothing compared to Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Everyone hated this gimmick. Everyone hated this whole she is undefeated at pay-per-views. Everyone was sick and tired of the hot potato with the women's division title. We've finally seen an end to both in one night, and everyone's bitching now because it wasn't done at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, but you're bitching for the sake of bitching. Now, I told myself I had to take myself out of that whole my era of wrestling, the 80s and the 90s. I had to, and early 2000s, I had to take myself away from that and watch from a different perspective. And I've been trying to do so. Am I still finding a lot of fault with the product? Very much so. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to bitch every fucking point of every single match. We've seen some pretty good matches last night. They weren't great matches. Let me clarify that. I think WWE really needs to look at how many pay-per-views they're putting out and scale it back. You know, you need time for storylines to build and percolate and ferment and get the fans involved in it. You know, make us feel for your pay-per-views. You know, you need it to build up and build up and build up at least 3 months. We don't need pay-per-views every single month. For one, it's just a way for WWE to grab more cash. Well, frankly, most people are just using streaming sites to watch pay-per-views to begin with. And no, it's not WWE Network. But all in all, I can say this would have been a pretty good episode of Raw. I think it would have, what we usually see on Raw, I think it would have blown it out of the water. It would have made Raw that much better. This is what Raw should be doing on a weekly basis. Was it worthy of a pay-per-view? No. Every match was basically predictable as it went, besides a few things, like, you know, Charlotte not winning and not reclaiming the gold. The Sasha Banks Nia Jax match, that was, you know, went down a little bit odd. Should Sasha have won? I don't think so. I think it would have built more heat going into the whole WrestleMania Fatal 4-Way match if she would have lost. But WWE is a bit of a strange conundrum. For months on end, you know, they ignore what the fans want. And then just out of the blue, they'll give a little bit. And then the fans are going, what? What the fuck? This shouldn't have happened right now. This should have happened at WrestleMania. Or this should have happened at that pay-per-view. WWE is never going to be able to please the fans. Never. This is no longer the 90s. It's no longer storylines that build up. Everything is so quick because Vince McMahon and a lot of the production crew have it in their minds that we do not retain what we see on TV. Our perception is, and our perception is skewed, and it's our memory is fleeting, so we forget quickly. So big storylines are not the norm anymore. I really don't understand like how they can say that they have more viewership these days than they did back in the day. Oh yes, they are on a more global scale from back in the day, but their storylines are complete shit now. There's so many pay-per-views, nothing has a chance to build. Every pay-per-view is supposed to be the end of a storyline, a new beginning. It used to be WrestleMania was the culmination of where storylines ended and new storylines began. And now it seems like this is every pay-per-view. We used to be able to see a feud and a storyline run sometimes up to a complete year, from the beginning of, or at the end of WrestleMania till the beginning of the next WrestleMania. You know, it was done in a way where everything was planned out right to the T all the way up. Sure, they had to tweak things here and there, and a storyline could kind of fizzle out in between, branch out, and then kind of veer back into that path and heighten up, you know, just kind of build up once again. It didn't exactly run an entire year, but it would start, and then when Vince McMahon would see it starting to fizzle out, he would make it branch out and then kind of wind back in on itself. Now you have, especially with Raw, there was absolutely very little build up towards this pay-per-view. And I'm talking about Fastlane here. And if you look at it, there's not much build up leading into WrestleMania. So what can we expect now? Like, we've seen Braun Strowman eat a clean pin. Does that ruin his career? No. It buried him a little bit. So my thoughts on what should happen. There's nothing planned for him, as I know right now, going into WrestleMania. Have him involve himself in the Undertaker Reigns match. Have him help Undertaker defeat Reigns. You know, come down and fuck Reigns up a bit during the match. Throw him to Undertaker for the pin. That's the only thing I could actually see him doing right now. I don't want to see him in Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. There's no need for it. And I'm going to take a drink here. I think it would be a nice way to kind of end that little bit and make, I don't know, kind of redeem Braun Strowman a little bit. Was I happy that he lost? No, I was pissed. But the match was good. So I'm not going to shit all over the complete pay-per-view. There's no call for it. I was entertained through most of the pay-per-view, and that's what's important, that you're entertained. The Sasha Banks Nia Jax match. For the most part, we've seen Nia Jax in control. I was expecting Nia Jax to win. Should she have won? Yes. It would have been more of a push for her to go into WrestleMania. Now, you're looking at all the rumors about this Fatal 4-Way match coming for the women's division on Raw at WrestleMania. And you're wondering, okay, she just got pinned. So, she really has no entitlement to the Raw Women's Championship. So how can she demand she be in that match? They are going to have to work really hard going up these last few weeks going into WrestleMania to give us a reason to believe why she deserves to be in that match. Because right now, she's lost all of that momentum. She has lost every single part of it. What's next for the Cruiserweights? It's got to be Aries and Neville. Unless someone else can step up, because last night the Cruiserweights took the show. They stole the show. It was a great match between Gallagher and Neville. Both came out looking strong, and that's the way it should have been for most of these matches. You've seen a lot of one-sidedness, and then all of a sudden, wow, how did she just fucking win that? Or he win that? Yes, I know smoking's bad, but I'm in a bit of a bad mood this morning. The Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn match, it could have had a lot more time. They would have made that match the match of the night. In my opinion, it was a good match. But it was like they were shackled. You seen Sami Zayn on the beatdown for most of the match. He got his ass kicked. He made some short comebacks, and it was short-lived. They could have allowed him a lot more in this match. They could have built him up a little bit better. Another 10 minutes, and this match would have been good. We were surprised to see Big Show versus Rusev and Cesaro versus Hardbody Mahal. We were surprised to see that. Was it needed? No, it wasn't needed. But it was already determined that it was going to be a squash match for the heavy or the Universal title. Fuck, I hate that name. So they threw in Big Show and Cesaro in the mix with Mahal and Rusev. Were they good matches or great matches? No. By far not great matches. A lot of these matches on last night's pay-per-view were 9-10 minutes long. And that's what these two were. Like 9 minutes and 8 and a few seconds. They needed something to fill in that time. So they threw these in. Could they have made other matches longer? Yes, they could have. But, our attention span is shit. So they had to give us short matches. I can't go over these matches again. They weren't bad matches. They weren't. But they weren't needed. So we've got cruiserweights. We've got the Samoa Joe match. We've got, the women's title match. These women are great wrestlers. Like I said, there was a lot of bitching going on. The streak shouldn't have ended last night. It should have ended at WrestleMania. You know what? I heard one guy saying, if you don't feel it in your soul, then what the hell is... Why put it out there? No one has believed in this fucking pay-per-view streak right from the beginning. Everyone thought it was bullshit. Now, you're going to cry and whine that it's ruined all this build-up right from the get-go. You know what? We didn't want to see it. We didn't want to hear about it to begin with. So finally, they ended it. Now, there's no more hot potato for the time being. At least now we have, unless some fucking bullshit goes down tonight on Raw where Charlotte gets a rematch again, but all that bullshit is ended for now, at least till WrestleMania, as far as I know. So I don't have to hear about the fucking pay-per-view streak of Charlotte. I don't have to hear about the hot potato. I don't have to watch it. So I'm not going to cry about it. I'm happy it's done. You put it to rest. Now let's let it rest. The main event of last night, complete bullshit. We all knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. I was hoping they were going to make the motherfucker earn it. At least give us 10 fucking minutes. But no, you are completely full of sweat and breathing heavy in Goldberg. I'm talking about Goldberg here. Before he even gets to the ring. And I don't know if it was because Owens knew he was losing the title, that he didn't want to get in the ring. He wanted to make it last a little bit longer. If he was nervous about it, I would have felt the same way. He got fucked over. It should have, like I said, Goldberg, if they were going to have Goldberg win it, he should have had to earn it. He should have had to at least put in 10 minutes of his time instead of 20 point some seconds. And that's what it was, 20 point something seconds, you know, like milliseconds. It was not even really about mentioning, 20 seconds. 20 seconds of his time, and I wonder how many millions of dollars he got paid for those 20 fucking seconds. Vince McMahon should be ashamed of himself for even putting out product like this. For even allowing a match like this to take place. Even in WCW, he had to put in at least a couple of minutes in a match. Now we're getting 20 seconds, 90 seconds. Give me a fucking break. Stop bringing in part-timers. Build up what you have. And make them memorable. Because this shit, what you're giving us, is not memorable. Now, what are we going to see? We're going to see a squash match at WrestleMania, but on Brock Lesnar's part? He finally wins it in what? 2 minutes? Maybe even, 10 seconds. But I don't understand why they're doing it these days like they are now. Like, we used to be excited with 3-4 pay-per-views a year. And now you have 1 and 2 every fucking month. It is too much. There is no chance to build anything. There's no time to let anything build and percolate and ferment and grow into something glorious. You have fleeting moments where we're on our at the edge of our seats. Fleeting. And we're supposed to be happy and content. Now, like I said, I didn't shit all over the show last night because, for the most part, I did enjoy the matches. What happened in the matches. It was like watching a good Monday Night Raw. And that's what they should be striving for every week on Raw. They didn't need the pay-per-view. They could have done without some of this bullshit that went down, but in the end, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It was a good pay-per-view. There's people out there crying for the sake of crying, bitching for the sake of bitching. I think, for the most part, there should be 6 pay-per-views throughout the year. 6. That allows more time to build for each brand and still keep WrestleMania as the biggest show and actually have a build-up towards it. What we have now, it's too much. Too many pay-per-views, not enough storyline, not enough build, not enough a lot. You have great talent these days. You are over-scripting. You're chaining them down. And it's noticeable. As a fan, it's a big disappointment. But what are we going to do about it? We can speculate, we can bitch, we can tell everyone this is what they should be doing, this is what we would like to see. It's not going to happen. We don't run WWE. Now, tonight on Raw, everyone's expecting The Undertaker. We were expecting him last night. It would have been the perfect scenario for the Strowman and Reigns match. It would have allowed both guys to come out looking strong. Strowman wouldn't have had to eat a fucking clean pin. But it didn't happen. Is it going to happen tonight? It's rumored, it's heavily speculated that he will be there. I'm hoping he'll be there, but we'll see. I know Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are going to be there. Is the Universal Champion going to be there? My eyes, he fucking better be. After getting a 20-second win over the Universal Champion, or former Universal Champion, he should be there. He should be cutting a promo, and there should be some kind of confrontation. And it better be a good, heated confrontation between him and Brock. Don't have Paul Heyman do all the talking. Let these guys, duke it out a little bit. Bring it a little brawl. He didn't have to work last night, so Goldberg should have to work a little bit tonight. Are we going to see it? No. We're not going to see it. There's going to be some big hubbub about the women's division, the championship. And I think it's going to be just as predictable as last night's pay-per-view. Am I going to watch? Yes, I'm going to watch. I got back into wrestling for a reason. I wanted to get myself reacquainted with the product. And I'm hoping eventually I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm hoping WWE sees the light at the end of the tunnel very soon as well. Because I would like to see, as we go to the light, that we get pulled into a new era of wrestling. Because right now, this era, it sucks hard. It's like worse than Vince McMahon deciding to revamp ECW into his own image. That sucked then. This sucks harder. So that's me for now. Catch me tonight on After Raw, and we're going to review the show, the results, and I'm hoping I got some good fucking news, because although last night's pay-per-view was good, it was just a regular match card scenario. It wasn't pay-per-view quality or pay-per-view feel. Did I bitch about it? Yes, but I didn't bitch about it as hard as some did. So let's go into tonight with our eyes open a little bit. Hopefully we get something entertaining. Hopefully. Will we? Probably not. We know that Stephanie McMahon's going to blow up at Mick Foley. It's expected. But I'll catch you tonight. Bye.